Over 7,000 languages exist on this planet right now. But just 23 of them account for more than half of everything spoken by every human being alive today. 23 out of 7,000. That is not a statistic most people expect to hear, and once you understand what it means, you will never look at language the same way again. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover exactly which languages dominate the world, how they got there, and why the rankings are not what most people assume. You probably already have a guess for number 1. You are almost certainly wrong. And there is one language climbing the charts so fast that experts are calling it the most important linguistic shift of the 21st century. We will get there. Stay with this. Let us start with how we even measure a spoken language. This sounds simple, but it is actually one of the most debated questions in linguistics. Do you count only native speakers, the people who grew up speaking a language from birth? Or do you count total speakers, including everyone who uses it as a second, third, or even fourth language? That distinction changes everything. It completely reshapes the ranking and tells a very different story about power, history, and the way human civilization has moved across the globe. For most of recorded history, the dominant languages of the world were tied directly to the dominant empires. Latin spread across Europe through Roman conquest. Arabic spread across the Middle East and North Africa through the expansion of Islam. Mandarin held together one of the largest continuous civilizations in human history. The languages that became powerful were the languages of armies, of trade routes, of religious texts. And that pattern never really stopped. It just changed its form. Now here is the current picture, based on the most comprehensive global data available. When you count total speakers, including native and non-native users, English comes in at the top with somewhere between 1.4 and 1.5 billion speakers worldwide. That number includes native speakers in countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, and Canada, but it also includes hundreds of millions of people across Asia, Africa, and Europe who use English as a working language, a business language, or a language of education. English did not get to the top because it is the easiest language. It got there because of British colonialism, American economic dominance, and the global spread of the internet. Right below English sits Mandarin Chinese. And here is where it gets interesting. In terms of native speakers, Mandarin is actually number 1 by a significant margin. Over 900 million people speak it as their first language. That is a staggering figure. But because Mandarin is concentrated mostly within China, its total global speaker count sits around 1.1 billion, which places it just behind English in the total rankings. China has the population, but English has the global reach. That tension between those two languages is one of the defining stories of the 21st century. But here's what nobody talks about. Hindi and Spanish are in a fierce competition for third place, and neither ranking is stable. Hindi, spoken primarily across India and parts of Nepal and Fiji, has somewhere between 600 and 650 million total speakers. Spanish sits in a similar range but is spread across an extraordinary number of countries. 21 nations have Spanish as an official language. That geographic diversity gives Spanish a kind of influence that raw speaker numbers alone cannot capture. A Spanish speaker in Mexico can walk into a conversation with someone from Argentina, Spain, or Colombia and be fundamentally understood. That cross-border mutual intelligibility is a form of linguistic power that is genuinely rare. Coming in at 5th is French, with around 320 million speakers globally. French is fascinating because its native speaker base is actually modest. Most French speakers live not in France but in Africa, particularly across the Sahel region and Central Africa. Countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Madagascar, and Cameroon have enormous French-speaking populations. By some projections, Africa will account for 85% of all French speakers by the year 2050. The future of the French language is being written in Kinshasa and Abidjan, not in Paris. Arabic follows at number 6, with around 310 million speakers, though this number is deeply complicated by the fact that spoken Arabic varies so dramatically from region to region. A person from Morocco and a person from Iraq are both technically Arabic speakers, but their dialects may be mutually incomprehensible in casual conversation. Modern Standard Arabic, the formal written and broadcast form, is what unifies them on paper. This internal diversity makes Arabic one of the most complex languages to measure in the entire ranking. Bengali, Portuguese, Russian, and Urdu round out the top 10. Bengali is perhaps the most underrated language on this list. With over 230 million native speakers, it is the 7th most spoken native language on Earth, yet it receives a fraction of the global attention that languages like French or German enjoy. Most of those speakers live in Bangladesh and the Indian state of West Bengal. Portuguese, powered largely by Brazil, reaches over 250 million speakers and covers countries on 4 continents. Russian, despite demographic shifts, still anchors communication across much of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Now let us talk about what these rankings actually mean for the world. One of the most profound implications of language distribution is economic. Research consistently shows that language barriers cost international businesses billions of dollars every single year through miscommunication, failed negotiations, and missed market opportunities. Countries whose native language is globally dominant have a built-in economic advantage. English-speaking countries, for example, save enormous resources by not needing to translate as much of their diplomatic, scientific, and commercial output. That advantage compounds over generations. But here is the counterintuitive reality. The rise of machine translation and artificial intelligence is beginning to chip away at that advantage. Tools like neural machine translation have reached a level of accuracy that was simply not imaginable 10 years ago. When you can translate a business proposal, a legal contract, or a medical document accurately in seconds, the native language advantage shrinks. Some linguists argue we are approaching a world where language dominance matters less than at any point in recorded history. Others argue the opposite, that dominance will calcify because AI systems are trained disproportionately on English language data, reinforcing the bias already built into global communication. The language climbing fastest in importance is not one most people predict. It is Swahili. Currently spoken by around 200 million people primarily across East Africa, Swahili is the most widely understood language on the African continent. It is a lingua franca across Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, and parts of the Democratic Republic of Congo. As Africa's economies grow and its population expands, Swahili's reach expands with it. The African Union has recognized Swahili as an official language. South Africa recently added it to its school curriculum. The momentum is real and it is accelerating. What does all of this tell us about learning a second language today? The data points toward a clear strategic hierarchy. English remains the highest leverage language for global communication, full stop. Mandarin is the highest leverage language if you are focused on trade with Asia or long-term geopolitical positioning. Spanish gives you access to an enormous, youthful, and economically growing population spread across 2 continents. And Swahili is the wildcard investment, the language with the highest potential upside for anyone with a long-time horizon and an interest in the African continent. Languages are not just tools for communication. They are archives of human culture, history, and thought. When a language disappears, and one does go extinct roughly every 2 weeks, an entire way of seeing the world disappears with it. The dominance of a few languages is, in one sense, a triumph of connectivity. In another sense, it is a quiet and ongoing loss. The most spoken languages of the world are mirrors of power. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Lang Bridge for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.